Hey, what's up, good people? Shelby here. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I got a recent request for a wing liner tutorial, which I thought, well, I thought I already had one of those, but maybe I don't. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite ways to do a wing liner, and I'll show you some of the tools that you use. Brushes, cream products, pencils, and a combination of the two, as well as liquid liner. The felt tip liner game has definitely stepped its game up. One of the most popular felt tip slash liquid liner applicators is the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner. I'm also a fan of the Too Faced You're So Too Faced felt tip marker. In both cases, you're dealing with a very pointed, very sharp applicator, and the purpose of that is to make sure that you have control, but also so that you can make a wing that can be very sharp or just a little sharp. It's up to you and your discretion. There's also, of course, just the plain liquid liner that comes, with a brush in a container. I don't think I actually have any of those anymore. I used to use them, and I liked them, but they sometimes were a bit challenging, and control wise they're just not my favorite. Next up, there are black eyeliner pencils, which can be twisted up. They are really good for putting in the under eye, and also lining your waterline, which would be up under the lash on the inner rim of the lid. You can also put them up above, but I like to pair these with some kind of brush, like a flat top brush or an angled brush like this, which allow you, one, to push the product into the lash line, and then when you get to the end, you can create the wing that you want. So again, big fan of things that allow control. When you do a eyeliner, you want to go for something that's a black or a blue. It's up to you. You can also go brown. And when you pick a color, you also want to pick one that is a rich color, so you don't have to put on too much product. Otherwise, then you have to disperse that product evenly so you don't have chunks. I also like the choice of a regular liner or also a Cajal liner. I think they're spelled a whole bunch of different ways. They're Kajalkohl. I don't know what the official Webster's Dictionary spelling of Cajal liner is, but if it sounds like K and ends in L, it's probably the right thing. Moving on. With this, especially a Cajal liner, you are able to move the product out, and it's really flexible, and the longer it's on your skin, it warms up and it moves really nicely. Then, of course, there are gel liners. They come in little pots like this, and they are cream colors. This is a Dramatic Black from Maybelline Eye Studio, and it says the black liner right there, and you can apply that again with the brushes. And when you use that kind of a liner, you also add in the possibility of an applicator like this, which is just a pointed, let's see, can I get it to turn? There it goes. An applicator like this, which is a pointed applicator, and it kind of goes on really very delicate, very smooth. For me, because I like the control, but I also like to be able to fix my mistakes, I will generally use this kind of applicator before I've done my whole face, because I want the freedom to clean it up. And you can, of course, clean up with just concealer after the fact. But when you don't have on a full face, you can use just a makeup wipe, and you don't have to do all the matching and repowdering to get it to sit nicely on the skin after your whole face is done. But sometimes it happens, so you just have to be prepared for that eventuality. And then the last option, although it's I think people still do this, usually when they're smudging, you can also use a dark color like this dark brown or this dark brown. You can also use black, and you just wet your brush and create your line. So yeah, I think for today, I will show you the ones that I use the most. Use the You're So Too Faced wing liner, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the middle of my eye and decide what the thickest is that I want this line to be. So if I want a thin line, then I will just touch right there and dash on in one straight line the thickness that I want. And then I'll go over it once. to join the dashes together and make it really smooth. That's just the beginning of it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it in a little at a time. And you want to use the point of the brush to bring it into toward the inner corner. How close you bring it is up to you. I would say that just past the lash line is where you want to kind of bring it down so that the point of the applicator is touching there. That's the widest it's going to be. And then you kind of bring it out the rest of the way just evenly. So I'm just going to go back over this and go right down into my lash line. And finish out the corner. Okay, so that's just my line. Okay, and then what I will do is tilting your head, cocking your head, whatever you feel like helps you get the best angle, do it, sis. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this liner and I'm going to tilt my head, and I'm going to go from the point right here, and then I'm going to go up. I'm pretty much going to decide how high I want it to be, and then I'm going to aim for that. So like, for example, I'd like a moderate wing, so I'm going to go out that far. Okay, you see that dot? You don't have to do a dot, but I like the dot because it helps me make sure that I didn't go bigger than I meant to go. I don't want to have to go big and then stay home because I have a bat wing instead of a small line. Okay, so I picked that. So I'm going to go from there, and I'm going to use the tip of this, shake it up, make sure I got product in it. And I'm just going to go from that line in, okay? Okay. All right. And depending on your eye shape, you may need to compensate. So for example, if you have downward turned eyes on the outside, then you may need to bring your wing up higher, okay? You have to play around with this. Everybody's eye shape is different, okay? But for my eyes, because of how they land, I can kind of go straight up and out, all right? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pen, and I'm going to go from right where my water line is. So from here, I'm going to meet that. Then I'm going to just fill it in. Okay. And that's my wing. Now, if you want a thicker wing, which is totally up to you, then you would, when you get to the end of your wing, you would thicken up this outer part so that when you bring it in, you're meeting a line that's higher up so that you get a much thicker wing. Okay, so that's one side. It's one version of an application. Let's do cream liner on the other side. I'm going in with my angle brush, and I'm going to get the product on the brush, and then I'm dabbing some of it off in the cap so that I don't have chunks on my brush. I'm going to start from the same point right in the middle. How thick do I want it? And then I'll just dash it on to give myself a guide. As you can see, because my brush is thicker, my line is thicker, I can definitely balance them out. My next step, just like on this side, is to decide how far out the wing is going to go and then bring in the wing to meet here. and then fill in the gap. Now, the challenge here is that I'm going to have to not only make the wing be balanced on this side, I also need to match this side. So, bear with me. So, I'm going to pick my spot there, essentially. And then with the gel liner, because I want the largest amount of the product to be here, I'm going to go ahead and I want it to be on the lid rather than out here at the wing. So I'm just going to dash myself out to there. They're very, very close. Honestly, I think I've said this before in my videos. When you are working on a wing liner, when you're working on brows, you get to the point where you know if I keep touching it, it will be a hot mess. So we will take our time and we will get as close as humanly possible. There are some superhuman women out there who have perfectly symmetrical wings every single time. And I respect and honor them, but I know that I am not them. So let's go ahead and let's bring this in. Okay. And now I'm ready to go from my waterline again and meet this, meet the outer line. And just dash, dash, dash up into it. There we go. Yeah, and I can tell that this side is actually higher than this side, but I can fix that. And on the other side, just gonna do the balancing game. I'm gonna bring this one up a little bit. Okay, so now we're both high. Push my hair back, I realize it's creating a shadow that's not helping. So this is, honestly, is a respectable wing. If you wanted to stop here, you could. That being said, if you want to clean it up, you also can. As I mentioned before, you can go in with a flat brush with the same angle brush once it's been cleaned off, and you can use some concealer and you can clean it up. And so I'm going to use, just to demonstrate that, I'm going to use the Fenty Cure Pro Filter Concealer in the shade 360. I'm just dabbing a little bit, just like that much on my hand. And I'll go in with the flat brush, which I have handy. And I'm just going to go underneath this wing. And I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. If you want to see my my review on this concealer and the setting powder, I'll put the link up above. But it's I'm impressed. I am impressed. Okay. Okay. And then, as I said, this is easier to do when you have not already done your whole face. Then I'm going to go in with a little bit of powder. I'm just going to pat it over the color, the setting powder that I just put there, so that I can kind of erase it. Similarly, you could also use a flat brush or an angle brush to apply a powder as a liner. So for example, I will take this flat brush and I can go in my under eye and this darker color. I can go in my waterline, not my waterline, go in the lash line and meet the wing. Now you get a slightly less sharp wing per se, but it does do the job. So as you can see, it performs the same way as a cream does. Not quite as stark of a color, partially because I use brown, but also because it's a powder instead of a liquid, so there's a different experience. If you use a matte shadow, though, you will get a matte finish. You just might have to work a little bit harder to get as sharp of a line as you'll get with a liquid or with a cream. So that is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not already liked or subscribed, please do. You're still here. I assume that means you've enjoyed what you've seen and you would like to see more. If you would like to see how I got the face that I have on right now using all new Fenty products, go up and click the link or click the link. It's kind of, it'll show up somewhere. Thank you again. Have an awesome day and ciao for now.